my name is Dr. Kenyon Williams. I'm professor of percussion at Minnesota State University, Moorhead, where I'm speaking to you from inside the MSUM Percussion Studio. This is part of a three-part series of videos about the 2022 North Dakota All-State Etude. The snare drum portion was one video, marimba's another, and today I'm looking at the timpani portion with you. Now, as we dive into this, I want to talk about some fundamentals to help you get a good start for this piece. First off, drum selection. Many students aren't sure which drums they should be using. Was that for timpani? Which one should I focus on? In general, when selecting timpani, for whatever piece you're working on, you want to try to have pitches that are within the middle of the range of each drum. Too high, we get a very pingy sound. Too low, we get a very floppy sound. But something in the middle, that's our ideal timpani sound. So, which two drums are those? Well, in general, for this etude, you want to be using not our 32-inch, but rather the 29 and the 26. The 32 will simply not be able to cover the pitches. My highest pitch, my 23-inch drum, could technically hit this, but it's going to sound a little floppy because it's in the bottom of the range. So we're going to go with this 29 and the 26, our two middle timpani. Now, the next step that many students have is, how should I tune the drums? I don't have a whole lot of experience with this. Maybe, unfortunately, you had a band director who simply in the past pointed you to the timpani and said, figure out how to tune them. Well, I'll give you a really quick lesson on how to tune timpani well. This is a method that I teach all my students, high school and university, and I call it the bad country singer method. I learned it from Mark Wessels. And basically it goes like this. A bad country singer, when they sing, they don't hit the pitch straight on, they scoop into it. Do-ah, I love my dog and my truck, and they scoop into the pitches like that. Now, the same thing here. We want to practice singing the pitch. So in this case, I'm going to use my marimba as my reference point for a moment. I'm going to sing this E flat on my highest drum. La, la, la. I'm going to sing it straight. La. Now I'm going to scoop into it. Loo-ah. Just like a bad country singer. Loo-ah. Go to my drum, put the pedal on the very bottom, hit it once to get it vibrating, and then scoop into the pitch. And you can hear how it goes to that E flat very nicely. Now I'm locked in and I can lock in the pitch. One of the secrets is when you hit the drum, only hit it twice. Once to get it vibrating, and once to double check it when you think you're there. Now if I go past it and I'm off, don't come down to the pitch, always start from the bottom. The human ear matches pitches going up far better than going down, and there's other reasons as well, but that's the biggest one. You want to always try to tune going up. So there's my E flat. Now my other pitch is a B flat. Now when you come into the room to tune for All-State, the best way to impress a judge is to have with you a pitch pipe. Have a pitch pipe where you can blow one pitch, and just one. So if I blow that pitch, I can then tune one of my drums, and then try to learn how to tune by ear the other drum. Now, this tune, a B flat and E flat, are what are called a perfect fourth. A perfect fourth is a common sound that we hear in music, often associated with the song Here Comes the Bride. Here comes the bride. So I have my E flat, and I can also tune coming down from another song that you may have heard as a child, George of the Jungle. So, now if I can do that, I'm going to go from the bottom. I'm going to sing from my ear, la, George, George, sing that low pitch. Now I'm going to scoop it up, do-ah, and now I'm just going to imitate it. Again, only two strokes. Once they got it, now I'm going to double check it, and now I'm finally quietly, I can hear George of the Jungle, or I can also hear my Here Comes the Bride. Okay, now my drums are in tune. I have the right drums are in tune. Which mallet should I use? Well, you can see I'm holding 4 mallets because I'll demonstrate the differences. Here, I'm an innovative percussion artist, so I really recommend innovative mallets. I have in my hand some professional model innovative mallets. These are actually made out of bamboo, but Innovative also makes some wonderful concert sticks called the CT line. These are the concert bamboo line, and I have in my hand a 4, and a 5 level. The 4 is a little bit softer than my 5. These would be considered medium. These would be considered slight medium staccato. So, which one should I use for this tune? Well, I certainly don't want to use a mallet that's too soft. Too soft, and I'm going to get a very flobby. I'm not going to be able to hear those 16ths like I want to in the first line. Da 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 dun 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 da 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 dun. Instead, I want something that's going to have a little bit more articulation. So if I start with my 4, you're going to notice right away it's a little bit hard to hear. I'm going to get better sticking there. It's not sounding very clear. So I'm going to go now with my 5s, just a little bit harder, and it's going to be just a little bit more articulate, as we say. There we go. Now I'm getting Now, when you hold the timpani mallet, just some general rules of thumb, we call this French grip. Thumb on top, butt of the stick should be in the bottom of your palm, and the thumb right there holding it in the fulcrum. This area is called the fulcrum, and notice how the stick goes straight down my thumb, not out the side, but straight down my thumb. This is called French grip. Now, if you can get a private teacher to show you how to do a nice French grip, this allows you maximum rebound coming off the drum. If you only know how to play snare drum, you're not a final timpani tuner, tutor, then it's great. You can simply use what we call German grip, which is basically what we call American snare drum style grip. Just make sure you're letting the stick rebound off the drum. So here's German, French, thumb on top, which gives me a little bit, I find it easier to pull off the drum. And you'll find the majority of most professional timpanists, especially in the United States, play with French grip coming off. Now, where do I strike the drum? Again, don't strike in the middle. I get a very thumpy sound. If I strike on the edge, I get a very thin sound. A good rule of thumb is a third of the way in from the drum, a third of the way in on both drums, and when I'm playing on both drums, about a dollar bill apart is a good location to get my strokes there. Now, let's take a look at the actual etude, some of the tricks that we're going to need to know. The very first measure is actually one of the most challenging parts of the entire piece. The stickings for this. If I simply do a left-hand lead sticking, and now I'm stuck in this weird little cross-stick thing, that's not going to work. So let's try right hand. Well, that evens me out for the rest of the etude, but I started off with this, again, this weird cross-stick. The sticking I would use would actually be this. Left, right, left, right, left, right, left, left, right, left, right. So I would have a cross stick right there. Left, right, left, right, left, right, left. And then a quick cross stick. Now notice for a cross stick, this is a more advanced timpani technique. Lower my wrist, cross at the wrist. Don't reach over. We don't want to sound like this. That gives me a fluffy sound. I always want to strike the drum where the stick is coming parallel to the head, getting the meat of the sound coming right off. So again, from the beginning right there, watch my sticks. Cross, quick left, like that. If I do it at tempo, and then I'm off to the races. Do be careful that I don't accent that cross stick. It's very easy to do this. And I don't want to bring that out. I want to make sure it's even. And save the accent for the very last stroke. Now, the next thing you'll notice in this piece is there's lots of interesting little meter changes. Notice 4/4 to 3/8. And it says the beginning, eighth note equals eighth note. That means that my beginning, if I'm counting it, 1E and a 2 and 3, a 4E and 1, 2, 3, 1 and 2 and 3 and 2 and 4 and. So I'm keeping that eighth note solid and steady all throughout the etude. Now, notice the quick dynamic changes too. At the end of the third bar, 1 and 2 and 3 and. Staying soft, just keeping it low, keeping my rolls, again, timpani rolls, not buzz rolls, but what we call single stroke rolls, coming off relaxed and even. With my French grip, I can do this easily. I can also do it with German, just got to make sure I lift. Now, when I'm lifting though, make sure that you're getting an even roll. It's much better to have a slow, even roll. For example, if I start in that last measure of the first line, much better to do this than to do this, where it's tense and uneven. We want to keep it even and smooth. So always a good idea to start your warm-up time on timpani with just some nice even roll techniques. So starting with smooth, start slow, and then gradually accelerate, keeping it even, never letting yourself get tense or get to that point, but letting it always be even. And trying at different dynamic levels as well. Slow to fast at a higher dynamic level as well. Now notice something else you saw me do, dampening. Anytime I have a rest on timpani, it's not snare drum, I need to dampen. So if I come out starting in that third measure, I start to write the third 3/8 for a moment, immediately I'm going to dampen right when I get to that 4/4. And dampen with the back 3 fingers right next to the fingernail. I don't want to slap, I don't want to make a ticky sound, I want to go as quickly as I can. So the 3/8, here I go, second measure. Notice I dampened both drums as well. If I only dampen the last drum I hit, this one's still ringing, so I've got to dampen both drums. Now, also want to point out too, in measure number 5 and 6, you have a transition where you have a roll from the low B flat, and then you have the 4/4, and notice that these two rolls are connected. make sure I'm going smoothly from here to here. How can I practice that? Very simply. Practice doing an exercise of 1, 2, 1, 2, thinking 16th notes. And I'm going to start with my left hand. 1, 2, 1, 2. Do it again. Because obviously when I'm going from high to low, I want my left hand to get there first. It makes no sense to do something like that. So, once I can do that quickly, thinking 16ths, 1, 2, 1. Now I simply do into a roll, not thinking time, and just practice going. Now, earlier in the piece, you'll notice that in measure number 6 to 7, we have going from the B flat to the E flat, but there is no slur between them. So there should be a little break between those two. So if I start in measure 5, notice how I'm going to put a little break at the roll at the end of measure 6, but I'm going to try not to put a break in the roll within measure 7. So here I go, measure 5. So you heard that little bit of pause on that low B flat, one little break. Now here, no pause. Now I'm really getting into playing the piece musically as the composer wrote it out. Now, another important trick in this piece, and this is probably the hardest part for most of the students, is going to be this third line. How in the world do I do tuning without losing track of time? Because I guarantee the judges, when they hear you play this etude, they're going to be going 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, there. And if you don't come in right at that measure 13 downbeat where they feel it, it's going to be points off. So how do I do that while tuning? Well, the first thing is I've got to practice a little bit of tuning every day. Every time you walk by a piano or marimba, simply do this. Hit that B flat, hit that E flat. I'm going to E flat first. I just want to practice all day long. La, 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 la. I also want to practice doing this. La, 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 la. So I'll go all day kind of la, 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 la. Think of it as a song. La, 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 la. Once I have that in my head, then practicing independently where I'm going to practice getting the drums to change pitch. Now, when I change pitch for maximum, when I want to be as quiet as possible, we use what's called the flick. That middle finger there drags along the drum and gives a little flick. Notice it's not a thump, not a thump. It's simply dragging the finger and letting it pop off. So I'm going to have a very soft flick and with my head down low, because I don't want the judges to hear this unless they absolutely have to. They will. But I want to be as quiet as I can. I'm going to practice that la la. There's that pedal down. La la. I'll do it again. Now I'm going to do on the other drum. La la. Again. So I'm going to double check. La la. There it is. Now I'm going to go back to my B flat and E flat. Whoop, I lost my B flat. There we go. Da-dum. Okay. Now, the trick here is to tune in time. I want to literally tune, as I just said, in time. Don't just tune and hope I come out the 4/4 in time at the right spot. Instead, here's how I would do it, and I'm going to kind of walk you through it without actually doing this. You're going to hear what I'm doing. I'm going to play from right there in the E flat, starting in the end of the second line, 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 and 4, dampen, 2, flick, 4. So I'm literally going to flick on beat 3. I'll do it again. 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 and 4, dampen both drums, flick, 4, tune 2, 3, dampen the drums, flick, 4, tune 2, 3, measure 13. So notice everything I'm doing is intentional. It's on the beat. It's not just random. I'm tuning in certain beats, I'm dampening in certain beats, I'm flicking in certain beats. This will keep me playing in time. So let me demonstrate how that might work. Again, I'm going to get in my head, la, 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 and here I go. I'm going to start in measure number 8. I'm going to do it slowly so you can see what I'm doing, okay? So here we go. 1 E and a, 2 E and a, measure 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. And now I'm at tempo. Now I had a little bit of accidental flick there in the middle. I got excited. But I should have gotten myself, right now, I should be at this nice A and D. There we go. I've got a nice A and D because I heard in my head, dee-dum, dee-dum, okay? So let me go back and do that again at tempo. Okay, so what I'm going to do, again, try to flick on beat 3 of measure 9. I'm going to try to flick on beat 3 of measure 11 as well. So here I go, in tempo. And I'm going to tune quickly and try to keep it in tempo. 1, 2, 3, 4. So see, I came out in tempo. Did I come out at the right pitches? Let's double check. Not bad. A and D. Maybe a little bit flat there, but pretty close. So tuning is a challenge, but tuning in tempo can be done, but practice it slow, practice it in tempo. Now, to finish out the etude, notice the last little bits we have here. We have a nice mezzo forte, so make sure I'm quite a bit softer than that fortissimo. And again, my stickings are, in this case, a little bit more obvious than they were at the beginning of the etude. If I take it slow, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left. Notice again, dampening right there in that roll. 1, because there's a rest. Dampening right there as well. Now, look at that 3/8 bar. Don't let the next 2 bars throw you off rhythmically. If I count, starting in measure number 15, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. I'll do that again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. Playing it then. Now I'm back on track. Now, for this next little portion, I would start with a left hand on the 8th notes, and then a quick switch for my right hand, and that lets me go quickly right there. Notice if I start with my right hand, I got a weird transition for my roll. So again, I would start with my left hand on that subito piano. And that's the etude. I hope you found that helpful today, and hope you'll check out the other etudes as well. It's been great speaking with you. Good luck for this year's North Dakota All-State Audition.